Hey, everybody. Today, we got a really good interview, another one from a high-level figure in the industry who reached out to me with a LinkedIn DM some time ago, and then we started building a relationship. And now we're starting to collaborate more and more. Her name is Erin McLean. She's the CMO with Cynomi. And today's conversation was actually really fun because it bounced over a lot of different topics about go-to-market for vCISO. We talked about marketing in general in the IT and the cyberspace. She has a really exciting and interesting history. She worked for the Herjavec Group. She helped Rob Herjavec get on Shark Tank, and she managed a bunch of that portfolio. She was also an Olympian for Canada. But she has so many perspectives on marketing that I felt were clear and helpful. And you could really see her veteran experience in cybersecurity in the way that she discussed all these things and in the way that she gives practical advice for MSPs to succeed and excel in selling strategic cyber advisory, vCISO, all those different things. So let's get into it. Erin, we got you finally on the podcast. It is really great to have you.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
We did a recording together, I guess it was a couple of months ago now, for your Go-to-Market Academy.
That's right. Yes, Cynomi's Go-to-Market Academy. It's live now.
Yeah, it's live. There's one really great video of me saying really profound things, buried deep.
Very deep, yes. And we cut it up. So there are many clips of you also saying those profound things. Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. Profound nuggets. For anybody who doesn't know, actually, I don't want to go too far because I want people to learn more about you, but there's a lot of people who reach out to me for content. Let me just say this. I'm going to pay you a compliment before we even introduce you.
Uh-oh.
But I heard from you guys, and I became an instant Cynomi fan because of the way that you connected with me, and you were like, hey, we've read your book, which is always, paying a compliment is a very good way to start outreach in general.
So Canadian. I'm so nice.
It's right. Very Canadian. I love my Canadians. But then I don't even remember how exactly it happened, but essentially we had like one conversation and we both left fast friends. And then we were like, okay, we're both thinking of ways to help each other right away. In fact, that might be a good topic to talk about later, is your playbook for that, because again, here we are, you cut through the noise of people, and I cut through the noise of people for you, and then we have this connection now. So anyway, I should have started with an introduction for you, but I wanted to get that off my chest.
That's so funny.
You have a good way of building relationships that I think is going to continue to serve you well.
Thank you.
So would you tell the lovely people about you a little bit, who you are, what you do right now?
I will. I think it's also funny that you've already called yourself a dick 3 minutes into this podcast. So we're on the right track. And you've
just setting the record straight.
Nailing it. This is good. I'm Erin McLean. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Cynomi, and I'm a serial marketer. I've been in this space my entire career, focusing predominantly in technology. Started out in telecommunications, moved into the VAR and MSSP space with a company called Herjavec Group that is now known as Cyderis. Really kind of grew up there in terms of cybersecurity through its global expansion and eventual sale to Apex, and then moved to a company called eCentire, an MDR player, global MDR authority in the space. And for the last 7 months, I've been with Cynomi. We're a Series B platform company that's helping MSPs as a security growth platform. So bringing together compliance, security program management, cyber advisory into a way that MSPs, MSSPs, vCISO companies can scale their business, grow their business, and do it more efficiently. And apart from that, I'm an athlete. I can never say former. I am an Olympian. I'm a mom of 2 boys. And I'm someone who's just super passionate about this space and really loves what I do every day.
So obviously we want to talk about all this. I remember meeting Mike Bakaich, is our mutual contact from Iceberg. And I said, Erin, and his whole face lights up. He goes, oh, Erin, the Olympian. And I was like, huh? Like, she didn't mention that. How cool. Because I guess why would you go around telling everybody you're an Olympian? First of all, Herjavec Group, I mean, just so the people are clear, that's the Herjavec, like the Shark Tank guy.
Shark Tank guy. Yep.
Did you ever work with him, or was he like already absent from operations?
No. I worked directly for him for 7 years. We were very close. I led marketing, HR, customer success at one point, and the entertainment portfolio. So I actually led the Shark Tank portfolio and anything speaking related for him during my time at Herjavec Group. And no, it was foundational, not only for me in my career, but also how the business scaled up. He was incredibly involved in day-to-day operations. He would love that I say he's shockingly technical. A lot of people don't expect that of him, and he's very good and really has a deep understanding of cybersecurity foundations as well.
Right. We'll talk more about that later. I want to ask you more of those background issues, but I want to talk about essentially your role in marketing right now. You market to MSPs essentially at this point.
Yes.
But you came up in marketing in the cyber world, which I think many people agree it's one of the more difficult topics to market, because you have to have, in order to even leverage the product, there has to be a baseline understanding where you're not marketing cybersecurity to end users. So that helps. You're marketing it to people who already know how to use, like Cynomi. I don't know much about the product,
to
right?
an extent. Yeah,
Okay.
it's really interesting, actually. So when I started in cybersecurity, it was 2014. General enterprise security leaders, there was this confusion of, is it an IT leader? Is cybersecurity even a thing? Where does that sit in an organization? And we were very much having the conversation of security needs to be a board level discussion. It was not there. This was Sony breach, Target breach timeframe. And we were educating end customers at the time about what a SIM was, log management, and needing to have 24/7 visibility. And this, honestly, I believe was the perfect time to come into this space and learn. You're learning firewall, endpoint, XDR wasn't even a thing yet. Like, you're just starting to understand the balance of all of these tools and technologies and how they work together, how they should work together. And from a marketer's seat, what was so powerful then was really understanding the element of trust, of relationship, of transparency. And being at Herjavec Group at the time and having a leader like Robert, it was easy to try to put his persona, his reputation around the problem and make it digestible. Focus on the thought leadership, focus on education, focus on something people could relate to instead of being scared of the fear mongering, of the threat of breach, of the I don't know what to do. We made them comfortable in having that conversation. And that really helped shape me as a marketer in this space, because my first thought is, well, what's the buyer needing to do? What are they worried about? How do they feel? What is their challenge? Are they worried about, keeping their job, trying to feed their family? Like, what is it for them? They don't want to get sued. They're now on the insurance papers. Like, what does this mean for them? And then you start really being a marketer and not worrying about your space so much. You start worrying about your audience. You worry about how to engage and how to communicate properly. And so now at Cynomi, it is interesting, to your point. We're talking to MSPs, and it's not just buy a platform. It's, what does the platform do for you? What does it enable you to do? How can you better serve your end client as a result of making this choice? And so you always have to two-step it. We have to talk to the MSP and our partner community, but then we have to help them talk to the end client about the so what, the outcome that they get at the end of the day.
That makes sense. And you're less interested in just like, how do I get into an MSP stack? You're like, how do we change somebody's life with the product? And who's going to help administer that transformation? And how do we equip them to administer that transformation well and clearly?
Exactly.
That's really compelling. I want to go back to something you said about regarding Herjavec specifically, and I'm not just going to keep fanboying about him, but
I was going to say, if you're an official fanboy, I'll know. Actually,
yeah, I mean, first of all, I would like you to tell him about my idea for inflatable shoes, but we'll get into that later. I was just watching a clip from one of those old episodes back when Shark Tank was more like American Idol and they just had on like stupid ideas.
All the time.
Anyway, I was just kidding. I don't have an idea for inflatable shoes, but maybe I should. That's like, maybe it'd be great for your knees. Anyway, you've got this personality, this brand to wrap around the product, as you put it. And you can make something complex and kind of intimidating a lot more digestible and accessible for the audience. I wonder, is that an important play that MSPs could consider? And what role do you think, for lack of a better term, personal brand could play in an MSP essentially making managed services more digestible?
Yeah. I think it's a critical opportunity for MSPs. And more often than not, MSPs that are successful today, particularly in the SMB or mid-market, maybe don't even realize how they're doing this, but they are recognized as a strategic advisor, as the go-to leader because they've built relationship. They're known. They've taken a community presence. They've regionalized their approach. Obviously, as you start to scale up and you grow in team size and customer count and all of that, that connection can change, and how you communicate that personal recognition and personal brand is different. But one of my first telco experiences was actually at Virgin Mobile. And that brand being behind Richard Branson and always having like the ethos and philosophy of what would he do as this serial entrepreneur and kind of wild guy can lend itself to the MSP space. Like, how do you build that culture and that brand recognition internally that your entire operation is within the umbrella of what would Brian do? What would Erin do? How does that resonate with how we show up? And I think you can take something digestible in thought leadership and pull it all the way through to what is your client experience? How do you want them to experience service delivery, experience relationship management, experience cyber advisory, whatever that is, and start to kind of build a reputation that way. And so MSPs 100% need to be engaging from a personal brand perspective, but it's not just you as an individual. It's how does that trickle through your business and how the customer has multiple touch points with you.
Right. So it's not just about, hey, get people to know who you are, but can you translate that into product experience, client experience, and also company culture, it sounds like, because you want the culture to be built around that ethos. So it's not just a face, but it really becomes the amalgamation of the company's mission is this person rather than kind of the other way around, right?
I think the amalgamation of the company's mission should be the person's vision. It doesn't have to be the person, because it needs to be a shared, communicated, ambitious vision for everyone to have a part in. If it just feels like it's a singular individual, it will fail. You need to be able to see yourself in it, feel, supported and kind of engaged and like feeling like you have that opportunity to contribute. And that's, I think, to be fair, when you really achieve scale. Like, that's when you go from being like the small regionalized MSP to like actually starting to see it come to greater fruition.
Right. When the entire team can embody the vision rather than just look up to the vision, but they can actually be like, no, I'm a part of this. This is a vision that I'm a part of. And it originated from that person. So they'll get all the credit. They'll be the face on it. But we are, like, Richard Branson isn't flying planes, but we think of him with a brand. Yeah, that's a really interesting thought, because MSP leaders traditionally don't want to be a brand. They don't want anybody to even really look at them. And can you become a brand, a personal brand, whatever? Can you achieve the thing we're discussing without having to be in the public eye so much?
You definitely can, but you still have to be in the client's eye. So I'm not saying you have to go and be on CNBC and, have a weekly feature and do all of these things. Not every organization is going to scale to that level, but you have to have an opinion. You have to be willing to share it. You have to give advice. You have to communicate to your client and make sure that they feel that and understand the intention. Does every MSP owner need to have a blog and a social media presence and communicate emails all the time? Maybe not, but there needs to be a cadence of communication that reflects your vision.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be a way that comes to life. And I think it's funny, I just posted recently, we had Net Lynch, who is a well-known security leader from Kraft Kennedy and Legion on our podcast at Cynomi. And I asked her, what is one of the greatest challenges that MSPs have? And she's like, well, let me be clear with you. It's not marketing. I was like, daggers. Like, oh no, it's not. I thought here I am, like, I'm trying to save the world. Like, what do you mean? And she's like, it's relationship building. That is what they need to do first in order to gain wallet share, gain trust, get the sale, move things down. And we could debate it all day because I was like, well, how do they do that unless they get their foot in the door and unless someone knows you and then I would argue it all kind of starts to feel the same. Call it what you want. If marketing feels like a bad word to you or selling feels like a bad word, communicate vision can feel softer and nicer.
Yeah.
You're doing the same thing.
Yeah. That's really an important, that's smart.
She is.
That's a really important distinction because here's what's coming to mind right now. So I have these conversations all the time and with MSPs, and we're trying to get people to care about their business. The playbook is build a strong foundation, a verticalized local foundation, and get established. And then in reality, what every MSP wants to do is go national because they're like, well, we could sell anywhere, and they want to sell to everybody all the time. I don't encourage them to do that. I'm like, I think the market is much bigger than you think it is, and you could make more money than you need by just selling to accountants in your city. But fine. But they want to get every accountant in their city to care about them. And so the question becomes, how do we get them to know who we are? That's the problem they think they need to solve. But in reality, it's more like, how do we get them to care who we are?
Exactly.
And that's the distinction between, let's call it awareness marketing and relationship marketing. Because in reality, yeah, you can call them both marketing. I think you could also call them both sales, by the way. Like,
absolutely.
It's a very big sliver of the Venn. The Venn diagram is mostly overlap these days between sales and marketing. But in my own world, I observed being known is a very important part of my strategy. Mm-hmm. In 2023 and 4, I said, my mission was, I'm going to be like Beetlejuice. Whenever anybody says MSP sales, I'm just going to show up. And I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to be there so that I need people to associate me with that word. So I was like doing podcasts that nobody will ever listen to, and I was doing everything I could. I was writing on my blogs and posting on my videos. And this thing happened for us in 25 where I realized, oh, a lot of these guys, the slicker I look, the less they'll trust me. I realized if I just try to be polished, then I have to make relationships one at a time. And I was trying to build relationships one to many.
I see.
And that was
very true.
But if you go up on the stage and you create distance between yourself and the MSPs, and you're like, look at how sharp I am, or look at how whatever I am, then you might be in your mind as like a repository of some useful information. But all they're going to do is just take all of everything you've ever said, put it into an agent, and then ask it questions so they don't have to talk to you. But when I changed and I started doing events, 10 people at a time, 20 people at a time, and being like, hi, who are you? What is your name? Tell me about your business. And first of all, I love doing that. I really enjoy meeting people. I don't need a whiskey at a networking event to talk to everybody. I don't need that. I'll just talk to everybody, you know? But this crazy exponential change happened when I slowed down my relationship building. My personal brand, if you will, ended up getting way bigger, way faster because I was actually building actual fans. Do you know what I mean? Not just people who click the follow button, but people who will follow me if I change directions. That's my new definition of a real follower. Like, they care about what I'm saying because they know me or they feel that they know me. That's what's going through my mind. Thoughts?
Well, I think it's what you just nailed is the reason that account-based marketing is so critical. Because when you try to market to masses, you water down your message entirely. It's not personalized. It's not contextual. And I agree. I think you mentioned AI a few times already, in this stage that we're in of adoption and like rapid content production, people are hungry for the in-person connection. Events have never been busier because they want to engage and get to know you on a level away from the slop that everybody is kind of putting out there and pushing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm encouraged that was your experience too.
But you have this, let's drill into this a little bit, because you have this ability. I don't know if it was forged over your career. I don't know if it's just your temperament, but you are very good at building relationships. And I can see that before barely even knowing you because of the way that people talk about you when you're not there. It's very positive. And It's not just that they're impressed that you were an Olympian or something, but they're like, oh, yeah. Erin, yeah. A lot of people know who you are. And I guess what I want to know is, how do you do that? And how does an MSP, what advice do you have for an MSP owner who wants to build their relationships with their target market, like even on a soft skill level? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. There's a few things that I think are inherent that I just believe in, that I try to operate in my day to day. And it's not always perfect, but I definitely try. Coming from a sports background, there's an element of being willing to outwork your opponent, being willing to put in the work when no one is watching. That is what you need to do in order to get to that next level. And second to that is the belief of like anything worth doing is worth doing well. So like if you're willing to half-ass something, you're not going to get to your end goal, and you're also not going to really get the outcome that you want. And like, why bother? And so it's going back to your example of like, you sent me a message and it was different because I actually wanted to respond to it and engage. And then we ended up having a good conversation. When I go to write a message to somebody, I always think of an SDR communication, like that level of someone is sending a cold outreach. They don't know me. What is going to get them to like connect, engage? Because I don't want to sit here and waste my time either. I'm going to go and just send something AI generated off to you that maybe it can land, but it's not going to communicate the value that either of us want. Why are we going to waste our times getting on a call if we don't actually see that? And I just take that level of pride in what I want to do. And if I didn't see an outcome or value, I wouldn't have reached out to you. Like I would not have wasted either of our times. So I'm purposeful that way, I think. And I'm try as much as possible to be genuine and why. And I'm not a good liar. So I would rather just be honest with you and be like, here's what I'm trying to do. Is that of interest to you or not? And again, last thing I would say is, I think when you genuinely love what you do, it shows, and people want to work with people that energy or that enthusiasm, share that energy and enthusiasm for what they do.
It's so true. Enthusiasm or passion is really contagious.
Yeah.
And it's really compelling. Yeah, there's a lot in there that we could just talk for 30 minutes about, like, let's take those principles and let's help you guide and improve your SDR work. But
I will always message and call an SDR back when I'm impressed. Like, I don't care what you're selling me. You could be selling me like phone books still. And if it's a really good message, I will take it and be like, where do you work? How much do you make? What do you want to do? And try to figure out if we can get that person. Because it's an art to engage somebody that way. But some people have that. Like our CRO, Shane Deegan, had a similar experience working in hospitality, getting recruited by ThreatLocker because he was so, like, he had it. He was engaging. He was personable. He could sell whatever it was. And some people have that, like, knack. Robert, that we spoke about, was very good at that. He would go and find people, especially in hospitality, that just have that way of engaging with people and would hire from that. So you can see a lot of people that way.
I want to overly reduce into just crude sound bites. I think one thing that's come up a couple times here is paying a compliment, a genuine compliment. It maintains. This is back to the Carnegie stuff, like How to Win Friends and Influence People. Giving somebody a compliment is still one of the fastest ways to get them to listen to you.
100%.
And it's actually always been a key part of how I make friends since I was in middle school. I figured out, if you complimented a girl's scarf, she looked at you. So you'd be like, cute scarf. And then I started doing it, and I would leave a compliment, and then but that was it. And I would leave it alone. And I'm like, I'm going to plant a seed with a friend. And I would walk down my halls in high school. I was the most outgoing guy, and I complimented people all the time. And it was always genuine because I actually I really love encouraging people.
Yeah.
Like, and encouraging means to impart with courage. And if you could do that with like 6 words, and somebody's like they feel better about themselves today, and it costs you nothing, why wouldn't you do that all the time? That's like free value.
That's the whole thing right there. We talked energy and all of that. But if I make you feel good, you want to spend more time with me and understanding why.
Yeah.
It's like, I remember reaching out to you being like, Patrick Costello on our team is a huge fan. He loves everything you do. He highly recommended that I follow up with you. Checked out your podcast, listened to this. We've bought your book now. And like, let's continue. But like, you have a fan, you had a super fan. And now he's encouraged more people in our organization to follow you. And so let's continue. And now it's not just like a, hey, will you come on my podcast and let's get some downloads.
Yeah.
There's like a genuine reason we're interested.
That's right. And on that note, Patrick had liked a bunch of my posts, and I was just kind of ready for him to send me the DM now. But paying a compliment that's a genuine compliment is so important. And people try to do this at scale where they give a fake compliment, where AI says, this happens to me all the time. Hey, there's 1 or 2 reviews on my LinkedIn. I have LinkedIn, whatever they're called, recommendations. And all the AI tools will scrub those to basically like observe a compliment and then notice the compliment as a pseudo compliment. So, hey, looks like you really helped Raina with her sales. Nice work. Anyway, and I've gotten that exact one like 200 times because they're all doing it the same way. But do you know what the definition of the word flattery is?
Tell me.
It is the paying of a compliment which you do not believe.
Oh.
If you flatter someone, you give them a compliment that you don't actually believe. And that's what people mistake. They outreach with flattery.
Oh, interesting.
So you have to...
I've made the mistake of saying flattery will get you everywhere. And now I will fix that. Okay.
But, it might. And also, flattery is a very political move, right? Like, hey, this guy has a super fragile ego. Like, kiss his ass a little bit and he'll be nice to you. Like, sometimes that's the thing. Sure.
Sure.
But when you're trying to build relationships, meaningful relationships with people, rather than trying to have a transactional, when you're trying to get something from someone, that flattery can help. But I think if you're trying to build a connection with someone, why would you start with a lie? And why would you give them a compliment you don't believe? Which means if you're going to pay somebody a compliment, you have to have done enough work to actually believe it.
Yeah.
So you have to look at them long enough to have a reason to compliment them. And if you don't, then I don't think it should be a part of your outbound sequence.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I agree. Look, I think our market and in general, audiences are getting so accustomed to AI messaging and outreach. The Industrial Revolution is still strong. People still know what that looks like, and they're willing to turn off. And so I think you can stand out and really land your message and have a purposeful engagement if you take the time and effort.
Yeah. So I want to keep talking about this, but I want to pivot a little bit because Cynomi has this go-to-market academy now. You guys obviously care a lot about not just talking about cyber, but helping MSPs deliver vCISO services, right? That's kind of a cornerstone of what you're doing. I've had Jesse on. I've had lots of other folks on about vCISO, or Tim Golden says call it fCISO because why would you call it virtual? That's redundant. Of course, it's virtual. But can we talk a little bit about vCISO and
Sure.
go to market for vCISO?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's interesting too. We've actually tried to expand beyond vCISO because, to Tim's point, this virtual CISO component is off-putting in a lot of ways. So I really try to talk about cyber advisory, strategic advisors, and there is an outsourced functionality to hiring a CISO part-time, but that's not often what these technical leaders are doing. They are delivering a service as part of a greater operation, whether that's a GRC operation, a SecOps operation, a managed service. And so the title itself can be a problem. And so really trying to broaden that out is something that we're focused on from a Cynomi go-to-market perspective.
So you're looking at making sure that it's positioned correctly and that our nomenclature isn't compromising the actual the value that we could deliver.
The value and the outcome that the client gets. Yeah. Because oftentimes, as you mature as the buyer, you could be a CISO hiring a vCISO, technically.
Yeah.
And do you want that? Are you competitive? Is it weird? Am I putting myself out of a job? Why do I need that? But I might need third-party risk management services, or I might need a compliance assessment. Who's going to do that? Technically a vCISO, if that's the title within the business.
Ugh.
But now it's weird. And so I'm going to shy away from that.
I see. So we've used it's become a bucket of outsourced like advanced security.
Correct.
Of some kind.
And I also don't want it to just be outsourced. I'd like it to be a recurring relationship. And so I don't want to be viewed as a project warehouse over here. I want to be a strategic part of your business that is adding value in a strategic relationship if I'm operating within the vCISO category. So yeah, I've seen CISO as a service, fractional CISO, cyber advisory, and then you can kind of get down that path of any type of advisory consulting. Or what's happening more often than not now is a lot of these services are being bundled within a greater managed security services tier, because companies don't just want the break fix and the 24/7 monitoring. They want the advisement. They expect you to tell me what to do next. And that has to come with a level of CISO expertise.
Right. So an MSSP should and could be essentially delivering that service at a higher tier.
Yeah.
But that MSSP, same exact thing. From my perspective, an MSSP was BS. It was people who were like, now we also do managed firewall and we do manage another couple of things. And now we're a security focused MSP. I'm like, but isn't every MSP a security focused? Or aren't we supposed to be?
Shockingly, no.
Yeah.
And that it does become a distinction. I remember when I first started at eSentai, we're like, we're not an MSSP. I'm like, yeah, we are. What do you mean? Of course, we do MDR. Like, how could we say we're not? We have a SOC, we do these things. They're like, oh, no, we're different. And it was just really interesting when you try to label yourself because you're proud of what you do and how you differentiate, you can confuse your buyer.
Yes.
And the buyer is going, well, I want all these things. And that's really the whole issue with like the vCISO cyber advisory thing. Your client wants all these things. They don't care how you talk about it, how you package it, who works on it internally, what team delivers what thing. If Bob doesn't talk to, Tim over here, like that's your fault. That's not their experience fault. And so it just really is interesting that we still have these dilemmas and definition issues when really all that matters is like, is the client getting what they want? Do they understand it? Do they see value? Will they stay with us? Will they grow?
So then how should MSPs position this? Like, do they call it vCISO? What do they call it? How do they get people to care about this and get people to pay the money to deliver it?
Yeah. So I think foundationally, you do have to decide as an MSP what level of service within your client base that you're serving can be adopted. And typically we see 3 tiers. You've got your good, better, best. You kind of have like the foundational baseline of security that you're offering. You've got an element of like GRC, some form of compliance assessment, audit, readiness that's there. And then you've got the higher end where you're putting like even more hours, maybe board level reporting, like a more governance oriented engagement behind it. And you bucket that as a service and you spell out exactly what the client is getting as a result of that. And you position down that path. The best way is when those hours are built in and it's clear that advisory time is part of the outcome of the service, because there's nothing worse than receiving some kind of security offering and then being told, well, advice is extra. A plan is more. Giving me your expertise is going to cost X amount of hours. And you're like, why am I buying this service if it's not giving me that outcome? Or you're not equipped with the right team to give me that output. And I think that often happens in the MSSP space where it's like a SOC does this, but they're not always adding the extra expertise. And those that do really stand out.
Because they think of it as a series of tools that they have to administer, but then they sell them the tools and then think, well, I don't have time to do this. I have to bill you.
You didn't buy expertise. You bought monitoring.
Right.
Or you bought the firewall management. I didn't tell you what to buy next.
Right.
And that's where if you build in, like, again, from an MSP's perspective, and like I think the best MSPs that work with Cynomi look at us as not something they pass on to their client. They look at us as a way they deliver. Because similarly, if I'm a vCISO, who cares about the definition? Let's keep it. A client shouldn't always have to buy vCISO. a client should receive the outcome and the expertise of a vCISO as part of the service they acquired from your firm.
Mm-hmm.
And how you package it and what you do internally to associate a certain amount of hours with what they bought. And that time and value is up to you. But what they want is the value and the plan and the outcome and the trust that they know what to do next.
Right.
And that's what, like, again, they're not going to go, I want this line item. Because oftentimes, if you're looking at a bill of materials, what are you going to cut? Oh, I already have enough people. Probably not. But I don't need an extra person. I just want the service.
Right.
But what you really want out of the service is the recommendation, the expertise, and everything that would come with that person.
I've used this example so many times, but I'll use it again. It's painters don't sell paint. They sell you a new living room.
Mm-hmm.
Or go to a restaurant and you go, hey, I ordered a hamburger and we bring you 2 buns and we bring you some raw ground beef and a little pinch of salt and a head of lettuce. We're like, here's all the ingredients that you bought. And then if you add on for an additional $5, we will prepare them for you. And for $11, we'll have our senior chef prepare it for you.
Just say the burger's $12.
Just tell me how much, like, you know, I came in here because I was hungry, not because I wanted to use an abacus to learn a lesson about arithmetic. I just want the freaking result. And that's what you have to remember about. That's selling anything. And it's so hard sometimes for an MSP. And it's not just because MSPs are bad at marketing. It's because it's such a complicated service that we deliver. It's so difficult to do. So few people in the world can actually execute it well. And there's, how many tools are in the MSP stack or the vCISO stack? Dozens of tools that they're using every day, right?
Well, and that's something that we often try to talk about is what our platform can allow this vCISO to do is 20, 50 different things.
Mm-hmm.
So who am I to say this is what a vCISO does? With Cynomi, they can do X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D. Like they can do all of these things. They can offer dozens and dozens of different services, and they get to choose how they deliver for their client base.
Mm-hmm.
We can give them examples, we can give them kits, we can give them suggestions, but it's the force multiplier. It lets you open up what you do and how you do it.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing bears true in like marketing. Like if I'm saying, well, look at like all of these technical little details, who cares? It doesn't matter if I get these little abbreviations right. If at the end of the day, the buyer doesn't understand the value. Like again, you just always have to try not to overcomplicate it, but bring it back to the audience and what they're hoping to get out of it.
So then when it comes to that, when it comes to making something that people understand and need to buy, do you recommend that we have all these, we have these tools, we have these skill sets, we have this human power. Do we just tell them, hey, we can do anything? Or do we figure out the 4, 5, 6 most common use cases for those tools and expertise, and then essentially productize the delivery or the resolution of those specific problems?
Well, you said something really important at the beginning of that, which was need to buy. In order to have a sense of urgency for the sale, they have to see themselves in it. They have to see the use case and the pain that they are feeling. Otherwise, it's just a nice to have. And it's, we can talk about this in 6 months. Sounds good. We'll circle back.
Yeah.
So like they have to feel that we're solving an immediate problem. And you can do it a few different ways. Like you can do it from an opportunity perspective of how quickly you can grow. You could do it from, do you have like a sense of urgency now of a client need that you're trying to solve? But you have to find all of those entry points in whether it's projects, in services, in outcomes that could only be derived through what you're doing, and bring that to light. Ask the right questions to get them down that path. Get them talking about their own business and their own experiences, and then solve the problems for them. Because you can't leave it open of like, here's our full, everyone's seen like that logo soup slide of like, here's all of the things we can do. Like, do any of these sound good? And you're like, it's not a buffet. Like what?
Yeah.
Where do I start? Like now you're just making this hard on me.
Right. So when do we do that? When do we build? Is that a part of the sales process? Like, what are you seeing people do successfully? Because you work with probably hundreds of MSPs, right? And some of them are probably crushing it, selling a lot of vCISO. Some of them are probably struggling to do so. I guess, let me ask it this way. the people who are in the top 1% that you're seeing actually getting people to pay for vCISO and delivering it well, what are they doing that the other 99% aren't doing?
A couple of things. One, they're embedding it in their recurring services. And two, they're taking a chance out of the gate that they can prove their value by delivering an assessment and a plan. So they are willing to onboard you and engage you as a client, give you an assessment, and give you a plan of what good can look like going forward that then sets their entire team up to be like, okay, let's chip away at these. Let's not try and take the whale down all at once. Let's build, along with your budget and along with your cadence of maturity and what you can tolerate, a plan for recurring revenue over time. So they embed themselves in the security operation and they take a chance knowing cost of acquisition at the beginning requires some work on their side, but they can prove their value and become a stickier relationship.
Okay. And the people who struggle, is it just because they don't do that? Or are there any other specific pitfalls that you see people keep falling into?
I think the one pitfall is positioning vCISO to a CISO without explaining why. It's like, just like the more that you say like, we're selling vCISO services, you're not. You should be selling like security program management, compliance assessments, risk management, insurance requirements, like going down a path of actually driving an outcome for the client that they need is a big gap. If you're trying to just sell vCISO services to a security leader, that's a much harder sell.
That makes sense. So understand the position the person is in, understand who they are and what's motivating them.
Yeah.
And be willing to sell them what they need, not what you want them to need. Those sound like important distinctions.
Those are important distinctions.
Let me think, because there's like 6 directions I keep wanting to go in, and I keep editing down my questions in my head. But this is a very exciting conversation to me because of a couple of reasons. Usually when I'm talking about vCISO or any of this type of arena, I'm talking to somebody who doesn't sell it. I'm talking to somebody who just administers it or supports the administration of it. So to talk to a marketer, like you have this really fresh, super clear perspective on how to get people to care about it. So that's why I'm kind of like, I want to keep gleaning everything that we can from your brain for the listeners. Because
here's one really important thing. The other, you asked what the top 1% do. And this, I think, is true not just of vCISO, but it's true of a lot of technical and security groups within an organization that's multifaceted. So oftentimes the vCISO might be my direct buyer at Cynomi, but they have so many people internally that they have to convince to sell their specific service or offering. So if the sales leader, for example, doesn't understand why would I position this as an offering, as a SKU? How is it going to impact my commission? How is it going to impact my client base? They're not going to be successful. If the customer success or the partner person, whoever deals with your end client and has that relationship, if their remit is expansion and retention and they don't understand or aren't commissioned or incented or like have the right material to support that, oftentimes a vCISO leader or team can struggle internally within an organization if they don't have the full support of their go-to-market team. And that's one of the bigger gaps that separate good from okay, is security is a priority internally. Security is understood across the go-to-market team. It is a differentiator for the business, and they bring that forward to their client in an organized way.
Wow. So communicating clearly to the sales team.
Very much so. And
team.
the customer success team that's going to, or support desk or whatever that is for your org is critical.
I think, and there's the second part of that. Yeah, that's a 2-pronged problem. If you have poor communication between the vCISO, so you're a vCISO listening to this, or you're an owner listening to this who you operate as the vCISO because you're probably one of the top technical people in the org. You need your salespeople, you need your vCIOs or your TAMs, who's running your QBRs, to position and push this stuff. So, because you can't sell everything to everybody all the time, you can't manage all of your clients. You need them to push it to push it up. The number one is you need to communicate to them very clearly, not just what it does, but they need to see. They need a battle card, is what we sometimes call it in sales. I call it a sales card because I don't love like adversarial language in sales. So I call it a call card, but they need to have a short crib sheet of these are indicators that a client needs these products. So this is something that we do usually when I'm training for anybody, like if I have to have a team work my booth and they're like not salespeople, like I used to have my EA, I'm like, we're not a very huge company. So my EA will work the booth with me. My director of ops will work the booth with me. So I don't need them to understand everything about our product. They basically get a log line. That's what you call it in Hollywood. You get a one sentence description of what the product does. But then what it is these are the 5 problems that an MSP has that tell us that this product is for them. Or if they ask these questions, then it's a simple flow chart. Point them toward this product or this product. So we need to have the indicators on the account management side that they're ready for a vCISO conversation. And you need to make it so dumb and simple. Like, these are the actual words. These are the clues that they need this and that they are well equipped. Then we can go to work on making them care about the product and compelling them to see that value. But first we need to know that they need it before they know that they need it. Because sometimes we have to educate them up towards actually executing on that. So showing them that, number 1. Number 2, you have to align the incentive at every single tier.
Critical.
And I think that's probably the bigger miss for MSPs. I'm going to guess the difference between somebody who has the average vCISO sales and great vCISO sales is actually compensation.
Big time. Compensation and the rollout of something tangible or new as you're rolling out new service. No one can ever underestimate a quarterly spiff or incentive. Like, get people's attention, get them excited.
So,
drive the right
tell our
behavior.
listeners real quick, you mentioned quarterly spiffs incentives. Tell them a little bit about what we're talking about. Unpack this a little bit. Like, how do you get somebody to care about that new product or aligning the incentives correctly?
Yeah, look, I think you go through a pretty standard motion of doing some basic sales training, identifying the signals that you've just talked about, Brian, and saying, like, this is what a target can look like for us. These are the questions to ask. This is what you do next when you get them hooked and baited. But add it at 1.2 times, add, an extra top performer incentive. The top 3 salespeople for this month or for the quarter are going to get a $500 gift card. Whatever that looks like, that's enough to move the needle, to just show that this is critical. And again, these things have to come from the top down. Like, I think that you talk about it in your quarterly, town hall meeting, you send out the internal comms, you get things moving in a direction where all teams are working on the same thing at the same time. And it starts to just, again, be inherent that you're working towards this goal.
Yeah.
Those things matter in a big way.
Exactly. Compensation. Some of the biggest, most frustrating times in my business, the biggest problems I've had were because somebody was incentivized to do something that I did not want them to do. And then I was upset about it, and I would whine that they're doing what they're incentivized to do, when in reality, that's 100% my fault. Whatever you pay people to do, they will do more of. And whatever you just feel entitled to them doing for you, they're not going to necessarily improve just because they want to do a good job. Especially salespeople. You got to remember that salespeople are in sales for a reason. They want to make more money for doing a good job. So your definition of good job is the comp plan. That is the constitution of your job. You make this much money when you do this, and you make more money when you do this, and you make less money when you do this. That's going to guide everything that they do, because that's exactly what it's supposed to do. Mm-hmm. Right? They're not selfish for wanting to make more money when it's on the table.
Yep.
You want them to be money motivated. We were just talking about this. You want your salespeople to barely get by with their base salary.
Yeah, agreed.
And you need somebody with a mortgage that says if they don't hit their on-target earnings, they can't have this job. That's what you need. Not a salesperson who's like, I'm happy to take the base and this is all gravy and I'm going to go to Cabo with my commission. No, they need to pay rent.
Salesperson who loves their
commission.
base is not what you want. You want them to completely be performance-based.
Yeah,
agreed.
That's right. So aligning the incentive with your pre-sales team, your front-end sales team, help them be like, hey, we're looking for these types of deals. And if you find us these types of deals, we'll pay you more. Or if you find us these deals at this time of year, we'll pay you even more because it's worth more money to us. So you pass the value down to the people who are creating the value for you. And then you also, not only do you just educate them on the cyber products and stuff, you educate them on the signals for the cyber products, then you compensate them commensurate to the value that they're creating for you, proportional to the priority list of what you want them to push for you.
Agreed.
That's it, right? Any other things
that
you want
simple.
to
And
add?
especially, no, look, I think, and you can play with it so many different ways. Like if you have, we talked about the free assessment that leads into a roadmap. Why not offer the rep? If you're able to hook a free assessment client and their roadmap produces conversion in 2 months, you get a spiff, you get a comp. Like you should get something as a result of that. And so I think one of the great values that people love about the Cynomi platform is it gives visibility to so many different teams into a client's profile and into their overall roadmap. It shows you what gaps they have in their security posture, how it maps to things they're trying to get compliant to, what to sell next based on the roadmap of remediation things that they're working through. And so the CS person, the rep, the solution engineer, the security leader, everyone sees the same thing and can be on the same page and be aligned. And I think that when you have that visibility, then you can actually have a real go-to-market plan.
And when those things get aligned, the friction, the communication is there, compensation or incentive is aligned, product is clear. Let's paint a picture of what this can look like. Like, I don't know how specific you can be with examples, but what are you seeing the top performers actually do? What does it look like when they get this lined up and they start really delivering and selling this stuff?
Yeah, look, it is for those that are doing it well. And we have a few key partners out there that are like really communicating their scale and success. Intercity is a great example of that. DeepSeas, ECI, Compass MSP, like all of these partners have found a way to embed a level of assessment and advisory into their onboarding motion so that a client comes in and feels, most importantly, like they're understood. They have a partner who gets their business, that's taking the time to get to know them. And then not only are they getting the support that they need to check compliance boxes, get the insurance, do those things, but they're getting the help and they're getting the advisement, and it's a regular cadence. And then there's a broader communication plan to sales, to marketing, to the customer success side of the house to say, this is how we are differentiating ourselves as a provider, because our onboarding experience is different, because the way that we show up on a monthly or quarterly basis is different. And the client feels that. Those that are operating at a scale where they can prioritize that are succeeding because they're changing the typical kind of MSSP relationship.
And now it gives you, I would imagine that as an organization, you open up so many doors when you're injecting a considerably higher amount of profit into your existing base. You're delivering probably a more profitable. It's also like a pretty big top line. Usually it's not cheap to add security, all right? It's more than base managed services. Higher margin. It's also considerably stickier, is it not?
It is. It is. Typically you want to get to a minimum 2-year deal, but usually you're going 3-year plus. And that's, a big part of our proposition is showing you how to do it profitably and at scale, showing like where you can increase margin. You're trying to free up capacity. So we do a lot of demonstrating what more you can service and what revenue you can grow with your existing team so that you don't necessarily have to go hire at those higher end resources on top of the team you've already built. And that's the gift. At some point you do. And what a great opportunity to scale beyond that. Like that becomes a necessity, which is awesome.
Yeah. At some point, you hire a $250,000 a year resource to run this division for you, and you don't run it anymore, and you just make. Here's the takeaway. There's a lot of like $1 million, $2 million MSPs listening to this podcast, even 500K MSPs who are growing fast. We're not the first. This isn't the first conversation about security. We know that this isn't a new concept, but I want you, listener, to really go to the movies in your mind and envision what we're discussing here. You have a client base, and you're charging the average client X amount of money per month, per user, per site. That number, you can deliver a value to them where they are happy to pay you 2 times, 3 times what they're paying you now at a considerably higher rate of profit. And you have climbed the totem pole in the connection with the actual vendor. it goes like the bottom of the totem pole is like the Sparklets guy, and then the copier guy, you know, and then the paper boy, and like MSP for a lot of people, it's down there. If you're just doing help desk, the truth is that we don't really have that deep of a relationship with the client. But as we're now a strategic advisor, we're like shoulder to shoulder with them. We're at the head of the table, making more money, more profitably, more sticky, more visibly with the clients that you already have. And they're so much more likely to bring you referrals because you're more top of mind. You're creating a lot more value for them. And again, you're not like, it's not like we're reaming them for $450 a seat, but all we did really was just add a few tools to the stack.
Yeah.
We're actually delivering an outsized result for them for the price that we're charging. So this is a meaningful this is a true transformation of an organization when you can figure this part out. Yeah. So I've said many times, the MSP of the future will be a vCISO or will be not at all. And this is what I mean. We've got this K-shaped trajectory in managed services where if you're just a baseline MSP, you just want to like put in a firewall and do help desk. I really don't think anybody needs you in 5 to 10 years. But if you can figure this out, I think everybody needs you a lot more than they need you today.
Yeah, I would say the MSP of the future needs to recognize that cyber advisory is part of their managed service. Like it's one and the same.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Erin, I just looked over and realized that I've kept you for more than an hour already, and I wasn't supposed to do that. But listen,
you're good.
Maybe we'll do a part 2 one day because we didn't get into the Olympics.
We didn't.
You're on the softball team, is that right?
I was on the Canadian Olympic team in 2008 for softball. Yes.
Which was that the
Beijing
one in
Olympics.
Beijing?
It was.
Wow. That's awesome. I hope it was great. So then you'll put me in touch with Robert and I'll talk to him about my inflatable shoes.
You'll pitch the shoes. Yeah. He'll love that. He loves nothing more than that.
I think he'll be really glad you did that for sure.
I'm sure I'll get a thank you.
Yeah. He definitely won't block your number after that. Listen, you're a really exciting person to me in this space. And I really mean that because you're bringing a deep cyber marketing background into a way, and MSPs I think have a lot to learn from people like you who've been in these trenches and who have been selling and making cybersecurity compelling for a long time. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you, learn more about what you do at Cynomi, what's the best way for them to do that?
You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. You'll find me, Erin McLean. I'm, again, CMO at Cynomi, and you can always check out what we're doing at cynomi.com and join our weekly community. We host it every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern, and it's a great way to have conversations with your MSP peers.
Amazing. Erin, thank you so much for the time. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.